All right, moving on to the next Patreon request, and this one comes from Cyborg19.99, who asked me to do a crossover pairing between Superman and Betty Ross. As always, if you guys would like to have a Patreon request done, just hit the link in the description box below. Head on over to my Patreon, hit the third tier. That'll allow you access to do so. But other than that, hope you all enjoy this, and let's get started. So, yeah, the idea of Superman and Betty Ross as a crossover couple is fascinating because they have technically met before in Superman versus the Hulk. It was a kind of a homage to like Golden Age comics. I mean, the original Silver Age books. And she met Lois in there, and I think she also met Clark Kent. But what would it be like if Betty and Clark were a couple? Honestly, I think it would be kind of fascinating. Honestly, Betty is she's no damsel in distress. She's actually pretty capable in her own right, and I feel like she would be supportive of Clark, but I don't know how supportive she'd be of Superman. It's not like with Lois, who was like, "Holy shit, I should have known the whole time. This is a big step." Betty would be like, "I don't know how to process this." I will say though that she'll probably be she'll have less threat of being turned into a giant monster. I say less threat. It's not a 0%. So she has less threat of turning into a giant harpy or a red She-Hulk or a red harpy. There's less chance of that happening though. Anyway, so the two could actually complement each other, but again, I do have to stress that like Betty, I don't know how she'd be able to comprehend Superman because like she would be like, I don't know if I can stand the thought of you coming home beaten and stuff every night. It's not like with Lois, who understands that the war, like she needs Clark, but the world needs Superman. I think Betty had the same thing with the Hulk for the same time, where it's like I'm basically, and only this time it's one person. Whereas when she was with Bruce, she was not just with Bruce, she was with the Hulk too. But she had that kind of same thought process of, you basically bring the Hulk into our lives, and it's the same thing here, where it's like you've basically brought you've brought Superman into our lives. And I don't know how to process that entirely. Also, like Lois, Betty has a father a general in the military, Thunderbolt Ross, and I think if you thought he was mean to Bruce, he's not going to treat Clark any better. General Ross has a major disdain for journalists, because every time he's encountered a journalist, they always spin any kind of military operation. Because remember, he was a Vietnam veteran, and he had a real axe to grind of how Vietnam was basically. Sorry, I had to look. Were basically kind of thrown under the bus because of journalism. At least that's in his head. So he's gonna hear about Clark and be like, so. Betty tells me you're a journalist for the Daily Planet. So tell me, Mr. Kent, how do you feel about war? How do you feel about the military? And and Clark's going to be honest, where he's like, yeah, I believe in, protecting our country, but also I don't believe in harming unarmed citizens or, whatever the experiments are with the gamma bomb that you're processing. What's the point of that? And he's like, it's going to go back and forth real fast. Like I said, General Ross is just going to be an absolute asshat to Clark. And he's also probably not going to he also in the comic though, he does like Superman because he's like, yeah, red, white, and blue, but he's just not going to like Clark. Betty also, like I said, is going to have a hard time really comprehending the whole thing of Superman, and can she love Clark as much as can she love Superman over Clark? Because that's the thing, is that she loved both Hulk and Bruce because she knew they were one and the same. They were, inseparable. Here, it's like a separate entity, so it's not going to have that same kind of conflict. It's going to be a different kind of confliction in that it's like bringing your work from home. And also, Betty has also said like Betty, I'm very much unlike Lois, is like, I need Clark Kent, I don't need Superman. So I feel like that would be the case. It's not like, again, the same like Betty loved Hulk as much as she loved Bruce, and still loves both of them because she knows it's the same person, even though they claim to be separate entities. She's like, no, you are both cut from the same cloth. So I feel like it would be kind of that situation. It would be a different situation where it's like you can't stop. Bruce couldn't stop being the Hulk, but I think Betty would argue that you can stop being Superman, or your life as Superman is too big for me to be in it properly. That's how I think Betty's thing would go. So I don't think it would work. I personally do not believe it would work. But you guys tell me in the comments below. Do you think Superman and Betty Ross could be a couple or not? Just comment below, let me know. Once again, I'd like to thank Cyborg 19.99 for this Patreon request and continued patronage. And like I've said before, if you guys would like to have a Patreon request done, just hit the link in the description box below. Head on over to my Patreon, hit the third tier, and that'll allow you access to do so. But other than that, hope you all enjoy this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time, Multiverse.